welcome. This is episode 24 of the Angela Makes podcast. I'm Angela, and believe it or not, this is my year anniversary. So this time tomorrow, I uploaded my very first Angela Makes podcast, and this year has just gone in so quickly. So to celebrate, I have two gifts in this episode, which I'll talk about later. And today I am talking all about knits. So I have no crochet, I have no embroidery, no cross stitch, although I really want to do one of Caterpillar Cross Stitch's Halloween, and I have it all sitting ready to go, but I haven't started it because the knitting has just been, I've had a bit of cast-on-itis, as you will see. So in the last podcast, I had quite a few finished objects and I was trying to clear my WIP pile, and I think my WIP pile is now bigger than what I was trying to clear the last time. I have nobody policing me, I have nobody telling me what I should and shouldn't be knitting on, and WIP piles don't necessarily cause any anxiety, so I'm just going with what I want to cast on and what I want to knit on. So today I am wearing my No Frills sweater by Petite Knit. I have talked through it before. I knit this in Holtzgarn Super Soft, held double with Holtzgarn Titicaca, in the colourway Space for the Super Soft and Galaxy for the Titicaca. It is a little bit rougher when you're knitting with it, but this is probably one of my most worn sweaters. I absolutely love it. As soon as you block it, the softness and the bloom of this, and it has worn really well. I really don't need to pill it, and I'm loving that it's this time of year again and I can get it on. So this is the No Frills sweater, which I would highly recommend, by Petite Knit. So what have I finished? I should also say I really should have podcast last week, but I wanted to leave it to this weekend so that it was more or less within a day of the year anniversary. So it's been 3 weeks, but I've cast on that many bits and pieces and I've been working on so many of them that I have 2 finished objects. So one is my Joanna Shawl. So you have seen this in the last few podcasts. So this is the finished shawl. Hopefully you can see the pattern in that. I'm not quite sure what way the light, that's a good representation of the colour there. So you do 2 rows of your main colour, 2 rows of your contrast colour, so essentially you're using the same amount of both. The coloured yarn in this is an old Giddy Aunt yarn that I had, and it was Stingy Jack or Stringy Jack. It was one of their autumn Halloween colourways. And then I used a cashmere that I got from AliExpress. I used 100 metres of the Giddy Aunt and about 80 metres. There's a lot more meterage on the cashmere, but I didn't notice when it felt like the same weight when I was knitting with it. Because of the stitch gauge in this one, this has ended up really long. I think it's about 90 inches. But that just means that you have a really nice length to play with. I typically tie it up so that it doesn't move too far, and then pull that down over the knot, or you could potentially, if you wanted to, if it was a really cold day, you could pull that a little bit tighter and go again and even wrap it at your back, but you've a really nice snuggly scarf. So this one, the test knit was supposed to be finished about a week ago, just over a week ago, but then Joanna had extended it. So the Joanna Shawl by Twin Set and Pearl, Jo, this is the one named after her, and she had another few patterns coming out, so she extended this one, and I believe it's due out this week. It's beautiful. The pattern is really easy to remember, so you don't necessarily, it's a good travel project. Even though it gets quite long and quite big, it's still fitted in a small enough project bag that I could carry it with me, and it's beautiful. So that's the Joanna Shawl by Twin Set and Pearl, and within the pattern you will also get the cowl. I did mean to knit the cowl, but then I was accepted into another test knit, and the cowl wasn't part of the test knit. This was, and I apologised to Jo because I wanted to get started on the other test knit, which I'll talk about shortly. So the cowl is really, really nice as well. It's a lovely shape. It's quite different from other cowls that I have knit, but you're essentially doing the centre piece of this and then joining it together at the back. So it's lovely, and you can play about with the length of it if you like your cowl slightly looser or slightly more cuddly. It's entirely up to you. Now Jo had designed this. She used sock yarn, 4-ply yarn, and then she used mohair, so it gives a really nice texture. And as I had shown in one of my other podcasts, I had started one with the mohair and sock yarn. I am still working away on that, but I'm not going to show you it until I finished it. I do a section every now and again, so I'm into the middle section of it. It does create such a different texture, but I love this. I really, really love this particular composition between the cashmere and the sock yarn. So that's my Joanna Shawl, hopefully due out this week. If you keep an eye on my Instagram, I will post whenever that one comes out, and I will share the details with you. They normally put up their patterns, and there's normally a discount for a couple of days, so you can take the benefit of that if you can. So that was my first finished object. The second finished object was one of those things that I have seen over the last 3 weeks and I've started and finished. So Wool and Pine, as you know, I had shared on Instagram quite a few of their patterns over the summer. They had like a daily, it was like 12 days of Christmas, but in July, of patterns that they had a discount on. They picked one every day, and then last week they had all of their hat patterns reduced. And I had a look and I really liked 2 of them. One of my iPad here so that I can remember all the details of what I want to talk about. One of them was the Ponderosa hat. So I'll put a photo of it up. I haven't started it, but I really liked the cable detail in it. I thought it was lovely. And the other one that I got was the Deep Winter hat. And I have it finished already, and it's beautiful, except I didn't read the pattern properly. Well, no, I did read the pattern properly, and then I set it down and went and did something else for a couple of hours and came back and then just started where I thought rather than where the pattern said. So there is a turn up on this hat. Again, I'll have a photo up. There is a turn up on this hat, but I didn't want the turn up because I didn't want it taken away from the cables. This is the way that it comes together at the crown. Now I have only steam blocked this, but that's how it comes together at the crown. But this pattern is just glorious. Now I have taken out, I would say, about 20 rows. I did not want a hat, a really, really slouchy hat. Now it's not slouchy in the pattern, but it does turn up. So I think if I turned it up, I probably would have needed at least maybe 10 to 15 of those rows. But it comes down nicely over my ears. The ribbing is maybe a little bit longer than I would like, but it is nice, and I can't decide whether to put a small pom-pom, but I don't want taken away from the beautiful detail on the top of this. So this, oh, I've forgotten the yarn. Hold on a second and I'll look it up. So this was the Bahram U Wood Note DK I'll put a note, I'll put it on the screen because my accent and saying ba ram you may sound completely incoherent. So it is Blueface Leicester, Masham and Merino. So 34% Blueface Leicester, 33% Masham, 33% Merino. And it's a DK weight. It is lovely. Now it's slightly more rustic, but I love how the cables are showing up in this. I think it's absolutely beautiful. You can really see the lace detail coming up, and even the moss stitch that's in part of that. And this colourway was... Okay, so this is the label. I went and got what I had left. So the Ba Ram U wood note in DK, it's 204 meters to 100 grams, and this is the black currant colourway. So that's it in, and I have 46 grams left. So I reckon I could get a hat for my daughter out of this. So I will see, but it was beautiful yarn to work with, and even though it's cabled, so there was a couple of things different and a couple of things that I hadn't done before. So the cast on, I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see this, but the cast on is a ribbed cast on. So you're almost knitting, purling, but within the cast on. So that was something really nice to learn. Again, something I hadn't done before. It follows the long tail cast on. So your knit is the long tail cast on, but you're purling from the other side. But it was really, really nice, and it is still nice and stretchy. It's not giving me a tight cast on at all. There is the 1x1 rib, but I think the idea of that was to make sure that your rib was lovely and neat on the other side, but I like a 1x1 rib, so I don't mind that it's on the outside. And then your cable, so when you download Wool and Pine patterns, they typically have a code and a QR code so that you can go to their website, to their videos, and then put in the code and you get access to the video. So it takes you through step by step certain things that they think you will need extra help with. So the cast on was one of them in this, and then cabling without a cable needle. So I cabled all of that without a cable needle. And I just find cable needles, every time I use them, I drop the cable needle, and then in finding the cable needle, the stitches have dropped, and then before I know it, I'm having to try and backtrack on a cable. This way I don't seem to drop the stitches. I can pinch and hold them, and as I say, I think it's turned out perfectly. So that was the Deep Winter Hat by Wool and Pine. And as I say, they had a sale on, and I really loved the style of that hat. So I will do the Ponderosa one as well. I could maybe even see if I could get the Ponderosa out of what's left. Let's see, the Ponderosa, if I take you through it, is DK again. So in fact, the pattern is still $5 US. So in the UK, that's £3.91, which for a pattern is really not bad at all. And this one is gorgeous as well. So for the sizes, sorry, I should have said that as well, because this one's the same. It goes from baby right up to adult. So you have 5 or 6 sizes. 5 sizes: baby, toddler, child, adult small and adult large. So I did the adult small, which is typically the sizing that I would do. So it's 20 to 22 inches. So it's 14 to 16, 17 to 18, 18 to 20, 20 to 22 and 23 to 24. I haven't actually measured this to see if I got gauge. I just knit it. And they say that you need 183 meters for the adult size in the Ponderosa, but again, if I didn't do the turn up, and that looks slightly slouchier as well, if I did one less repeat, I may have enough. let's see what it says for the deep winter. So the deep winter, same sizes, and for my size it says 183 meters, and I would only have used just over 100. So I might get the other hat out of this if I did slightly shorter ribbon, which is what I might try. But also I have another hat that matches my Joanna. So I really enjoyed that. It was a really quick knit. I did use the 3.75 for the ribbing, and it said to use a 5mm for the ribbing, or for the cable for the main part of the hat. I used a 4.5, and I'm happy that I did. If I had have gone up to a 5, I think the cape, everything just would have been looser. I wasn't concerned about the size of the hat because I probably should have chosen the 18 to 20, but I went down a needle size and up a hat size so that the cables weren't stretched when I pull it onto my head, or that was my thinking anyway. So wool and pine also, I'm just saying here on Ravelry, if you buy 3 or more, you get another 20% off, and that still applies whenever they have their hats at $5. So yeah, I really liked the hat. It had popped up on Instagram, and I went on and had a look, and the deep winter and Ponderosa were the two that really just stood out to me. So the next thing that I have been working on is a pair of socks. And these are Halloween socks. So they're the Pumpkin Harvest socks by Nicola Fury or Tea Cake and Make. And as they're Halloween socks, I have it in my Halloween bag. So this bag I got from the Crafty Valentine, which is Tracy from Will and Wishes. So the Will and Wishes podcast, which I'll link below. But I got this last year, and I put them away, and I was going through my bags and thought, oh, it's Halloween, I need to get my Halloween bags out. So my Will and Wishes one by Tracy. So I have one of these finished. I should have brought a sock blocker in, but I don't have one. I haven't blocked this yet. So they're beautiful pumpkins. And then there is, I'm not sure if you, I think you can see it. I'll turn it around so that my pins aren't there. There's a detailing, so it's a 4-row repeat, and the heel is slightly different too. It's like it's a staggered, I think there's a name for it. I have partridge heel flap, which I had never done before. To me, it's a staggered traditional heel. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, it gives you like a nice pattern on your heel. So these are for my daughter. I have started the second one, and I am just about to do the heel. So the pattern goes really quickly. So I've just started the heel, and her foot isn't, it's a UK size 4, so it's quick and easy to do. And this is the purple that I'm using. And now that I've just dropped that ball, it's gone everywhere. Hold on. Okay, so that's the purple, and it is as bright as that. And it is the, I don't have it with me. It is the Yarnsmith's merino sock. I don't think they do colorways. Yeah, so it's the violet colorway, 2K317. That's maybe slightly brighter than what it is in real life, but it is nice and bright. And at the minute they are £5.50 for 100 gram skein, so you're getting 400 meters to 100 grams, 75% wool and 25% nylon, but I'm really liking these, and I have done a couple of pairs for Sophie and they're wearing really, really well. I'm really pleased with the yarn, and it's really nice and soft. This was an orange that I had in my stash, and it is a Winnie's yarn from Crochet Knit Love by Jo. I had done a cowl in this a couple of years ago, and so that's what I'm using for the pumpkins. And then I'm using a botanical yarn, which was one that I had won from Twin Set and Pearl in one of their giveaways. So I'm not sure of the colourway. There wasn't a label on this, so I'm not sure of the colourway, and I'm not sure of the makeup. I'm not even sure that it is sock yarn. So that's why I just used it for the ribbing at the top and the wee bit of detail in the middle of the sock. I didn't want to use it for the toe, just in case it didn't wear well. But using up my minis. So really, really enjoying that. Tea Cake and Make are doing a sock challenge over the next few months. So this was September's one. I'm hoping to get the second one finished. And then I will enter it into the competition, but they're going to be running it over the next few months. So keep an eye on Tea Cake and Make's Instagram page for that also. So the other thing that I started was the Avenue vest by Tori Yu. I wanted another vest, and I decided to use up wool that I had, and I was just within millimeters of the meterage that I needed. So the Avenue vest comes in a crew neck and a V-neck, and I have decided to do the crew neck. And it says worsted and 18 stitches and 5mm needles. So I had this Drops Charisma, which is all over the place, but I had this Drops Charisma in my stash for my size. So I am doing, I'm off gauge on this one. So I'm doing the third size, which requires 544 meters. This is 100 meters to 50 grams, and I had 6 of them. So initially when I looked at it, I was going to do the fourth size, which would have been 594 meters. But then when I did a gauge swatch, I was off. So the gauge is 18 stitches to 24 rows, and I am about 16 and a half stitches. So as I say, I've gone down a size because I don't want it overly big, and there was already quite a bit of positive ease within this. Yeah, 18 stitches to 4 inches, which would have been 4.5 stitches to an inch, and I was getting 16, not 16 and a half. So I was only 4 stitches to an inch, which I then decided to do the third size, which should still give me about 6 inches of positive ease. So as I say, the Drops Charisma, 100 meters to 50 grams, and it is 100% wool. And I am holding that double with Malabrigo lace. So there's more of like a lilac sheen off the Malabrigo lace. What colourway was that? Because I don't think I have it. This was the Orchid colourway. And within the Malabrigo lace, I like it because I do find when I'm wearing a mohair, and I've tried lots of different types of mohair, including hand-dyed mohair, and I still feel slightly itchy, especially if I get a little bit warm. So this is perfect, and there's 430 meters to 50 grams, and it's £7.29, so it is quite cost effective as a lace weight to hold within your project. And again, it's 100% wool. So holding both of those double for the Avenue vest by Tori Yu. Now there are lots of ends here, the way that you construct this, but I love, what do I say? That's it there. I love the colour that this is coming up. There's a real lilac, but it's giving a really marled effect on the fabric. Now I do really need, this is rolling quite a bit. As I say, there's lots of ends. You do the back and then you knit each front and then you join in the round. But what that means is you have a beautiful 3-stitch edge along the shoulder. You also end up with a 3-stitch edge around your neckline and the same along the increases of the arm. Now I did decide to add on the ribbing at this stage so that I can knit it as long as possible. This no frills that I have on, when I've put it on this year, I just feel, last year I was totally happy with it, and this year I feel like, just because of the way my shape has changed, my body shape has changed, I would like it a little bit longer. So I want to make sure that these are all long enough that I don't end up regretting it. So because I was quite tight on yarn, I wanted to make sure that I had enough. So I have about 6 inches at the minute. The pattern says 9 inches, but I will see, I might do it longer than that. And I just started another skein last night and I have a full one left. So I should have more than enough to get it to the length that I want. But loving the pattern. This is my second Tory U one, and they're well written, they're easy to follow. Just with the way that you do this, I've loads of ends, but that's okay, I'll sew those in. And if you look, the edging, the way that you cast off, you get this beautiful edge. I'll show you it better whenever I have it finished. And the same edge on the arm as well. And I just think it's something different, but it's really, really pretty on the edge of that. So I'm absolutely loving that. I'm loving the fabric with the Drops Charisma and the lace. I had done a sweater in Drops Charisma last year and I have worn it and washed it and there's no pilling on it, so I'm hoping it'll be the same with this. But Avenue Vest Tee, I am doing them in the 5mm, but I had got the 16 stitches. I did not want to go down to 4.5 because I did try it in the gauge swatch, but it was just too tight, and the vest it just wouldn't have sat well, I don't think, at all. So I decided, as I say, to use the 16 stitches, but I have adjusted the size that I'm knitting. I also have that in my Halloween bag that I made. So this is one of the Can Do Crafts, and I got this fabric at the quilt festival 2 Augusts ago, maybe 3. But I love this fabric. Just something nice for Halloween, something a little bit different. So absolutely loving that, and I will have that finished over the next couple of days, but I've really enjoyed working on that. So that was another one that caught my eye. I had just started it after the last podcast, and I might try the V in it, but I'm really liking that crew neck, and I have tried it on and I like where it's sitting and I like the fit of it. So for 600 meters, I think that could work really nicely to use up some of my stash. So the other thing that I started looking through my stash, and I started looking at patterns that I had as well. And one of the ones that I wanted, I had bought the pattern ages ago and hadn't done, was the Carousel by Tin Can Knits. So it is a colourwork yoke. It is all sizes. Tin Can Knits are brilliant for the sizes. So I decided to use up the stash that I had in Stylecraft Recreate. So you know that I have used this quite a bit in the past. Stylecraft Recreate is 100% recycled yarn. It is 350 meters per 100 grams, but it is a DK weight and it does knit up to a DK weight. 40% wool, 30% acrylic, 30% polyester, and it's all recycled. And it can be machine washed, which is really nice. And I decided to do this for my daughter. Now, again, my gauge is way off. So even though I should really be knitting her the small adult, the very smallest size in the adult, I am now knitting her the 6 to 8, I believe. Yeah, I'm knitting her the 6 to 8. And this is what I've got so far. Oh, it's even nicer on camera. It's hard at this stage to show you, but I've finished the yoke. The pink is going to be the main. I'll go through the colours now, but that's the yoke. Isn't that lovely? And it was so quick and easy to knit up, because when you're changing colour and you want to see how the next set of colours work, I'm just loving this. So the colours that I had and that I'm using is the aubergine. I think this is the grape. I think that's the grape colourway, so that's an older colourway. I had noticed, I went in because I needed more of the pink. I needed 2 balls of the pink, and I didn't mind adding 2 balls of the pink so that I could do this, because I had loads of the other colours. But they've changed their tones. So if I show you this one, there's lots of like reds and blues through that. Hopefully you can see that. That's their Dijon colourway. And again, I have enough of that. As you can see, I've finished the yoke. I probably will do a little bit at the end of the sleeves, but I still have enough of that to add in. So they're the colourways that I already had. And then, no, I had this one as well. This is the sky colourway, so that's the blue. And there is more than enough there to add in to another colourwork yoke. And this was one of the new ones I picked up. I couldn't resist this one when I was in getting the pink. So this is the champagne colourway. Now it's very grey, so I'm not sure why it's called champagne. But that's what colour it is. But you can see there's lots more pinks coming through this time. This is a new colourway, and there does definitely seem to be a bit more pink. And then in the pink itself, that has definitely changed, because I have used it before and there aren't as many sort of pastel-y colours. I think you can see that. There aren't as many pastel-y colours coming through in the old version, but it is still called rose. So absolutely loving this. I knit the Whitmore in the grey, which again has changed. So that was the smoke colourway that I had used. So you can see the difference in the champagne. But absolutely loving it. And I really, really, really like this. So I have a few more increases to do on the yoke. There's only 2, on this particular size, there's only 2 rows of increase. So I have a couple more increase rows to do, and then I will split for sleeves. But, and as you know me, it will now slow down when I'm knitting in the round, but loving this. Absolutely love that particular pattern. So that's the Carousel by Tin Can Knits, and I have been working on that too. I really do enjoy the Tin Can Knits patterns. As you know, I have done the Snow Globe hat, and I think what I like is the huge range of sizes. So it goes from a 17.5 inch chest size right up to 69.5. You couldn't ask for any more in a pattern. It really details everything that you could possibly need. They also have videos on their channel that you can go and watch, and I just find them really, really nice patterns. So I'd wanted to use up some of my stash. I had a lot of the Stylecraft Recreate. I did add the 2 balls of the pink just so that I have enough for the main colour. But I think what I'll end up doing is using the colours again, putting them in a different combination and knitting myself a similar colourwork sweater. So that's the other one that I have been working on, and that one was inspired more from, okay, what stash yarn do I have, what patterns do I have in my library that I really wanted to do that I haven't yet done, and that's where I ended up with that particular one. So the final pattern that I want to go through is one that I had seen on Lovely Day Knits, Alicia. I should say that I'd already seen this. So the sweater is the Gleniff Sweater by Tanya Barley. So this had popped up on my Instagram, and there was a reduction on the pattern the weekend that it was released. And I said, no, you've enough, you don't need it. And then I was watching Alicia during the week, and hers was absolutely gorgeous and I couldn't resist. Also, she had knit hers in Knitting for Olive, and I have never used Knitting for Olive before, and she spoke so well of the yarn that I thought, I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to get the Knitting for Olive yarn and I'm going to knit it in the same colours that she had. Now, she did admit that looking at it on screen and then when it arrived, it wasn't the colour that she particularly wanted, but I loved how hers knitted up. So, I got the Knitting for Olive Merino. This is the plum colourway colour. And it is 100% extra fine merino, and it's 250 meters to 50 grams. And the other one that she had used was the marzipan. Yeah, the marzipan. So again, Knitting for Olive, 100% extra fine merino, and that's the 2 colours. I have to say, this is lovely. When it came in, now it took about a week to get here. It was really, when I opened the pack, it is a really, really beautiful yarn. Lovely and soft, and it's really nice to knit with, but really fine. So I'm knitting these on a 3.25 needle. I have started it. I haven't done a huge amount. I've just started the top edge of the colour work, but it's really nice, really, really nice. I think I am getting gauge with this. Let me just check the pattern. Yeah, I am getting gauge. So this one suggests that you positive ease of 6 to 12 inches. So I am knitting the 4th size, which will give me about 11 inches of positive ease. As I say, I'm knitting it on a 3.25 needle, which is the, no, they recommend 3. Hold on, have I got my colours wrong? As you know, I knit with Knit Pro, I do get my colours wrong. The 3.25 and the 3 are very, very similar. These are the 3mm needles, and I'm getting gauge. So I am enjoying this. It is not one that I'm going to knit quickly. I just do a few rows every now and again, and I know I'm going to get to the stage where I have a huge amount of stitches on the needle, but I could not resist knitting this. So the Plum Clay colourway will be my main colour, and the marzipan will be my contrast, but I really, really like that, and I have wanted to try Knitting for Olive for so long, and there was a discount as I had never ordered before, and the wool, it was reduced that particular week that I had got it. So I think to knit this jumper, it was coming up at about £40 sterling. So yeah, I couldn't resist. So I will keep you up to date on that, but it might not appear too often in the podcast because, as I say, I'm just going to do it as and when. So a couple of other things. I'd said I had joined, I had been accepted for a test knit. That test knit was by the Knit Pearl Girl, and it is for the Haze Sweater. Now the Haze Sweater is going to be coming out as she has two different sizings within the Haze Sweater. A women's size, which is her standard patterns at the minute, and then a masculine sizing chart. So I have decided I applied for the masculine sizing in the Haze Sweater and to knit a sweater for my husband. I'm not going to talk a huge amount about this because I am vlogging my process of going through a test knit, how I'm finding the pattern, the yarn that I'm using and so on. So I won't talk too much here about it. It is a raglan sweater, it's stockinette, it's straightforward, but the pattern, as with all Knit Pearl Girl patterns, Sophie writes them so well. There's so much information in there, but it's also presented in a way that you can jump to the parts that you need. So again, I treated myself to yarn that I hadn't used before, and it is the Sandnes Garn Peer Gynt. So I have never used this yarn. I have heard loads of people talking about it, and the amazing thing with this, I ordered this on knit.co.uk. I ordered it on a Thursday morning about 11 AM and it was at my house in Northern Ireland by 12 PM the next day. I couldn't believe it. So this is 100% Norwegian wool, and in 50 grams there's 91 meters. And what she suggests is that you hold it double with Isare alpaca one. So this was the yarn that she had used for her sample, and I ordered. Now again, I think you can see that the alpaca one is much more blue. This Peer Gynt was a blue grey, if I remember rightly. So it's 6581, but I think knit.co.uk had it as a blue grey. So that is much more of a blue that's coming up now, the alpaca one. And when I showed it to my husband, he wasn't overly keen. I am getting gauge. I have to say, when I held it double with the alpaca, it gave such a softness, but he's more than happy with just this. So what I did was to treat myself. So as I say, I'm not going to talk about the test knit. I am going to bring out a vlog. However, I have until the 2nd of December for that one. Now his birthday's in November, so I would like it finished by that date, but I'm going to do the vlog. I didn't want this going to waste, and as I say, she is bringing out the feminine, and she has said as part of the test knit you will also get that pattern. So I got the Drops Charisma in the colour 75, and I think these are going to be beautiful together. So I am going to hold these double, and hold on a second, I'm not sure that I'm going to do, because that would be too similar. Both of us would have the same colouring. So while I was on Wool Warehouse, I also got the Charisma. The Charisma was reduced. I also got the Charisma in this colour, which is 55. I'm just going to look up what they call this. This one was the Petrol Cerise, and this one was 55. The light beige brown mix, and it's beautiful. It's coming up really nicely there. And I'm going to hold it double with the Malabrigo lace, and this is the Pearl colourway 36. So it's 430 meters to 50 grams, as I said there, and it's baby merino wool. So that I might do in the haze, and this I will do in something else. But at the minute the Drops Charisma is £2.30, so well, 10, what's 10 going to give you? 1,000 meters. If we even did 12, less than £30 for a sweater, even if you don't hold something double with it, which really isn't bad at all. And it is, for me, this is definitely wearing well, and I don't have an issue with it pilling, or if it does pill and I de-pill the sweater, that's it, done. I'm not having to keep going. There's one of my other sweaters that I am, and I'm going to do a bit of a video on it too, because I love it, but I'm having to de-pill it a lot, and I don't want that amount of effort in something that I've knit. So that was something else that I treated myself to. I have treated myself to a lot over the last month, but that's me done. I have more than enough to keep going. So I will probably do the haze sweater in one of those, and then it gives me another combination. However, the Knit Pearl Girl did release a sweater this week, which I also treated myself to because I had a code. And it was the Juno Sweater, DK and Chunky. So I may do the navy in it. It's again a lovely straightforward sweater. It's a drop shoulder, which I haven't done before, so the drop shoulder will be really nice to do. I think I will do the DK, and what she says is it has been designed with tweed or speckled yarns in mind, since the minimal detail allow the yarn to shine, and I think that's really, really nice. So again, it's top down, but there's a lovely detail across. I'll try and get a photo in. There's a lovely detail along the sleeve, and it looks, or along the shoulder, not the sleeve, and it looks in one of the testers like that continued down. Now maybe they just continued it down and did something different, but it was a really, really lovely, plain, simple, and I love this one. I really like it. I wear it a lot. So this is a raglan, and I just think the drop shoulder might be something different, so I might do another one in the deep navy colours. So they're my finished objects, my whips, my random ideas, and at this time of year there have definitely been a lot of patterns that have caught my eye that I have enjoyed. So what I plan to do is to do a bit of a pattern roundup, so that I can talk through each of those patterns and maybe set out the yarn that I have, and take you through some of the ideas that have been, or some of the patterns that have been catching my eye, and some of the ideas that I have for those patterns. So I might gather all those together and do a little bit of a different video the next time. So all that's left is for me to go through the prize. I wanted to say thank you. I have enjoyed podcasting this last year so much. I have enjoyed sharing my projects. In a way, it has made me a little bit more organised with what I'm knitting, even though this podcast doesn't make it look like it's organised at all, because I've just gone off on a complete I want that, I want that, I want that, and there's patterns catching my eye. However, the podcast has given me has tried to make me a little bit more regulated with what I'm knitting and what I'm finishing. So I have two prizes. They're the same. There isn't like a first and a second prize. So what I will do is to ask you to comment below, and then I will pick one out. The first person that is chosen can pick their colourway, and then the second person will get the one that's left. I don't think either one is a second prize, and I was going through them with my daughter last night and she wants both, so I told her she couldn't have them. So what I did this week, I headed up to Hank's Yarn Parlour. As I say, I got my wood note for myself, and I bought local yarns for this. Also, I have used, as you've seen, Giddy Ant yarn a lot. So the prizes are their new inspiring yarns. So they're their hand-dyed yarns. And it is by Giddy Ant yarn. It's still the same dyer, but they have rebranded. So the first colourway that I will show you is this. Isn't that stunning? So this is the Merino Smooth Sock. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 425 meters per 100 grams. And this is the Nereid, Nereid colourway. And I thought it was just gorgeous. And what I did was to get a 20-gram mini, and this is the Ocean colourway to match that. So you have a sock set, or you can split it up and do whatever. And then I got a little Hanks yarn parlour. So it's one of my local shop, well, local, it's in Belfast. I'm outside of Belfast, but it's close, and there are the wee light bulb markers. So there's a few in the pot. And then I also got these handmade by Casey and Hanks, which I think match in quite nicely with the colourway. So there are a few stitch markers. And then I made a bag to go with it. So this fabric I have had in my stash for ages. It is the Tula Pink. And Tula Pink, for anyone that does do fabric, is very vibrant, very colourful. And I had bought it to do a quilt, a fat quarter pack. I think it was the Free Spirit colour pack, but I'd never done that. And I have started to make bags with the project bags, and I love them. So these are my wee popper bags. And they're brilliant for sock projects or the beginning of a shawl. You can turn them down, and again I have used Tula Pink fabric for the inside. And I think that it matches really nicely with the yarn. So you get the bag, the yarn, the wee progress keepers, and the light bulb markers. So that's the first one, and this is the second one. So this is again Tula Pink fabric. The inside in this one is purple and pink, and the yarn is this. So it's the Flower Bash yarn, and again this is stunning. This is just such a beautiful colourway, loads of colours coming through in that. But I chose the Go Ask Alice colourway, the bright pink to match in. Again, you can split that up or use it. Lovely wee markers to match in, and also the pack of Hanks light bulb markers. So the popper bag, the yarn, the light bulb markers, and the stitch progress keepers. So if you comment down below birthday and what you're working on, or has this podcast given you inspiration, is there one of those patterns that you're going to go and have a look at? If you put that in below, as long as there is birthday in the comment, I will be able to pick it out. If you don't want to be considered, don't put birthday. You can still comment or tell me some other patterns that you have been looking at recently that have been catching your eye, and I will draw those out. So I will podcast again in 2 weeks, and I will draw those out. So there'll be 2 winners. The first one that I pick out will get choice, and the second one will get the other prize, but I don't think either one of them is second prize. They're both first. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining this journey. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sending me messages. Thank you for just continuing to watch. I absolutely love doing this, and I will continue to do it for the next year. So I hope you're all well. I hope you're enjoying the crafting, the knitting, the crocheting that you are doing, and I will see you next time.